We have all felt it. Whether you are sprinting, pushing out the last heavy rep, or climbing a massive flight of stairs, there is an agonizing biological alarm that goes off in your legs. It is a deep fire. Your muscles lock up, your lungs heave, and eventually, the pain forces you to stop moving entirely. Welcome to Dr. Levitas. For the last 50 years, personal trainers and even medical professionals have given that burning sensation a name. They told you it was lactic acid. They told you that your muscles were producing a toxic waste product, that this acid was poisoning your tissue. But almost everything you have been taught about that burning sensation is biologically backward. What if that molecule isn't a toxic waste product, but actually one of the most premium, high-octane superfuels your body can possibly produce? Today, we are dismantling the greatest misunderstanding in the history of exercise physiology. We are going to rescue the reputation of a deeply misunderstood molecule and explain why the burn you feel is not a sign of failure, but a profound biological upgrade. We are talking about the difference between lactic acid and lactate, and why this is the fuel of elite performance. Please take a second to hit the like button and leave a comment. Your engagement is a big help to the channel. To understand the truth, we first have to address the burn itself. If lactic acid isn't causing the fire in your legs, what is? Let's look at the biochemistry of human energy. When you are sitting on the couch or going for a light walk, your body primarily burns fat using oxygen. But when you suddenly start sprinting or lifting heavy weights, the energy demand skyrockets. Your body cannot deliver oxygen fast enough to meet this new demand. So to keep you from collapsing, your cells activate an emergency, oxygen-free energy system called glycolysis. Glycolysis rapidly breaks down the glucose, the sugar, stored in your muscles to create instant energy. But this rapid breakdown comes with a heavy metabolic byproduct. When you split those glucose molecules apart, you produce a compound called pyruvate, and you release a massive flood of positively charged hydrogen ions. These hydrogen ions are highly acidic. As they rapidly accumulate inside the muscle cell, the pH of the muscle plummets. It becomes an acidic environment. That accumulation of acidic hydrogen ions is what is actually burning. That is the fire. That is the chemical trigger that forces the muscle fibers to stop contracting, saving them from permanent damage. It is a brilliant localized safety mechanism. So, where does lactic acid fit into this? The shocking truth is that lactic acid does not even exist in the human body at a normal physiological pH. It is a chemical impossibility. When that massive flood of pyruvate and acidic hydrogen ions builds up, your muscle cell is in extreme danger. If the acid stays there, the cell will die. So, the muscle cell performs a chemical rescue mission. It takes the pyruvate molecule, attaches the burning hydrogen ion to it, and creates an entirely new, life-saving molecule called lactate. Lactate is not the acid. Lactate is the ambulance. It is the biological sponge that soaks up the toxic acid, so your muscle can keep working for just a few seconds longer. When you blame lactate for the burn, you are literally blaming the firefighters for the fire just because they showed up at the scene. But lactate is not just a sponge, it is the ultimate biological recycling program. For decades, scientists believed that lactate was just dead metabolic waste that had to be slowly flushed out of the body. But in the 1980s, and heavily expanded upon in recent clinical literature, a brilliant researcher named Dr. George Brooks revolutionized our understanding with a concept called the lactate shuttle. Dr. Brooks discovered that your body doesn't waste this molecule. Once lactate is created in the burning working muscle, special transport proteins shuttle it out of the muscle cell and directly into the bloodstream. From there, it is shipped to the most important energy-hungry organs in your body. Your heart, for example, absolutely loves lactate. During intense exercise, your heart muscle will actually stop burning standard glucose and switch to burning lactate as its primary fuel because it is so highly efficient. Your liver takes the circulating lactate and converts it back into fresh glucose to feed your entire system. And remarkably, your brain actively consumes lactate to fuel intense cognitive focus during physical stress. Lactate is not a toxin. It is a premium, high-octane carbohydrate replacement that is actively fueling your survival. This profound misunderstanding of lactate brings us to the elite athlete paradox. If you test the blood of a beginner runner, and the blood of an Olympic-level marathoner during an intense race, you might expect the Olympian to have less lactate in their system because they are more fit. The exact opposite is true. Elite athletes actually produce significantly more lactate than beginners. They are capable of generating massive amounts of this superfuel because their metabolic engines run incredibly hot. The difference is not production. The difference is clearance. The elite athlete has trained their body to shuttle and consume that lactate just as fast as they produce it. Their heart, their liver, and their slow-twitch muscle fibers act like massive biological vacuums, instantly sucking up the lactate and burning it for energy. The beginner runner lacks these vacuums. The lactate and the acidic hydrogen ions back up in the bloodstream. The pH drops, the burning becomes unbearable, and they are forced to stop. So, how do you build those biological vacuums? How do you transform your body into an elite lactate clearing machine? You have to build more mitochondria. And the most effective, science-backed way to do that is through Zone 2 aerobic training. Zone 2 cardio is a specific intensity where you are working hard enough to sweat, but you can still comfortably hold a conversation without gasping. It is not a sprint. It is a steady, sustained effort for 45 to 60 minutes. When you train consistently in Zone 2, you force your slow-twitch muscle fibers to undergo mitochondrial biogenesis. You are literally commanding your cells to build larger, denser, more abundant mitochondria. These newly built mitochondria are the exact cellular power plants responsible for pulling lactate out of the blood and burning it for fuel. By dedicating time to long, slow, easy cardio, you are actively building the cellular infrastructure required to clear the acid faster when you eventually do decide to sprint. You have to train slow to build the engine that allows you to go fast. This lactate clearance system also dictates exactly how you should recover after a brutal workout. What is the first thing you want to do after you push yourself to absolute failure? You want to collapse. You want to sit on the floor or lie down on a bench. But from a biochemical standpoint, sitting perfectly still is the worst thing you can possibly do. When you stop moving entirely, your blood flow plummets. The lactate and the acidic hydrogen ions are trapped locally inside the muscle tissue you just worked. The burn lingers, the inflammation spikes, and your recovery is severely delayed. Instead, you must utilize active recovery. After a brutal set, or at the end of a hard workout, spend 5 to 10 minutes lightly pedaling a stationary bike, walking, or doing slow dynamic stretches. This gentle, continuous movement keeps your heart rate slightly elevated and acts as a mechanical pump. It physically flushes the lactate and the hydrogen ions out of the congested muscle, pushing them into the bloodstream where your heart and liver can quickly consume them. Active recovery isn't just a cool down, it is a deliberate biological flushing mechanism. But perhaps the most viral, mind-blowing aspect of lactate is what it does when it reaches your brain. For a long time, we knew that intense exercise improved mental health, lowered anxiety, and staved off cognitive decline. But the exact chemical messenger was heavily debated. Recent neurobiological breakthroughs, specifically highlighted in literature from 2021 and 2023, have identified lactate as the missing link. When you exercise hard enough to feel the burn, you are flooding your bloodstream with lactate. That lactate travels up to your head and easily crosses the blood-brain barrier. Once inside the brain, it doesn't just act as fuel. It acts as a powerful signaling molecule. Lactate binds to specific receptors in the brain and actively triggers the massive release of BDNF, or Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor. As we discussed in our cognitive health videos, BDNF is the miracle grow for the brain. It commands the brain to create brand new neurons, build stronger synaptic connections, and repair damaged neural pathways. When you are pushing through that searing burn in your legs, you are not poisoning your muscles. You are literally synthesizing the exact chemical messenger required to grow your brain, improve your memory, and chemically armor your mind against depression and anxiety. The physical fire creates cognitive brilliance. Here is the doctor's verdict: embrace the burn. We must stop fearing the biological signals our bodies send us. The burn you feel during intense exertion is not a punishment, and it is certainly not a toxic waste product. It is the glorious, complex machinery of human survival activating in real time. By understanding that lactate is a premium superfuel, building your mitochondrial engine with consistent Zone 2 cardio, prioritizing active recovery, and embracing the burn as a signal for brain growth, you can completely reframe your relationship with physical effort. You aren't failing when it burns. You are fundamentally upgrading your biology. Stay resilient, respect your physiology, and I will see you in the next video. Watch this video suggestion. It was especially picked for you. Also share, comment, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It helps a ton with the algorithm. Remain tuned for future videos to empower your health and fitness journey. So, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep going.